Hello and welcome to the Redeye stream. It is 7:25 p.m. on the West Coast. We are broadcasting live from the beautiful Cascade Mountains in what was the great state of Oregon. I don't know very much anymore. The picture on the screen is the great state of Louisiana. And ouch.
Dude.
That's not looking good. My family lives down there. They're up in the central part of the state, but the remnants from Laura is still headed their way if it has not already knocked out power. I talked to my family this morning. It was fairly early on the West Coast, around 9 my time, so 11 Central. And my brother said everything was fine. He's just bored. I'm guessing the power was out. So I probably cannot get a hold of them now as they have no generator. You live down south, Doku. What's your local news saying, at least?
Oh, my area is fine, but I'm not in the Louisiana. I'm not in the Gulf region at all. So it doesn't look like that. I can tell you that much. Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, Galveston. I I can't speak for those guys, but I hope they're doing good. Cause that I hope it doesn't look like that picture. I look.
Yeah, you see that building in the back right? Look how high the water level is.
I was just gonna say, look at the building in the top right hand corner. That's that's rough. That is rough.
Well, I could say from my visit down there, it's a whole lot different. I think my jet lag was so bad because I live up in the Cascades. I'm at about 35 to 4,500 feet elevation above sea level. Louisiana is at or below sea level in most places. So I think that's why my jet lag was so bad, and that's also why you have flooding like this when a major storm comes in. Not to mention a Cat 5.
Well, and also just the amount of rainfall that you're gonna get. A lot of these areas along the Gulf, they don't exactly drain very well. They sure as hell don't drain quick. Eh, that I feel bad for those guys because that's bare minimum a lot of property damage. That's
Yeah, the only one I see that looks like it wasn't flooded are the two houses in the top left-hand corner. They where the water level did not reach the actual structures. It looks like.
and maybe the one house that's kind of smack in the middle, just a little bit low of center, where it looks like it's at least on stilts. So yeah, I guess maybe if they have a basement, that'll be screwed. But it does look like it's on stilts. That garage, uh, that garage is just a little bit to the right, though. Yeah, that one looks like it's on stilts. But if you go directly over that, yeah, that garage right there, that's definitely that's underwater. Oh, and a lot of these, you can see some of the trailers too. Like, man, oh, go all the way. The house I was saying that's on stilts. No, center, low center. Yeah, that one. Go all the way over, all the way to the right, and then up a tiny bit with the gray roof. Look at that house. No, all the way to the end. See that little tree line? No, keep going down to the very, very, very right hand side. Yeah, that guy. Look at that one. Well, that one too, but the gray roof at the very, very, very far end to the right. That house is completely underwater.
Yeah, I mean, this devastation here. I mean, especially when you're close up. I mean, I bet this guy's happy he has a boat. I mean,
I
I what,
guess.
do you think that's his boat? Damn, I hate to laugh, but that's all you can do sometimes, right?
Well, actually, the you see the building that's the columns up in the towards the right hand top, and then just over. Yeah, look at that. Right, you had the cursor right over it. Just look at that. That looks like someone had like a trailer and a log just floated into it and did all kinds of damage. Either way, man, I
Well,
these
no,
guys
and
are
looking up close because I can see it better than you guys can. Where my cursor is, this trailer right here is fine. It's on stilts, raised up, and the roof looks intact. They are going to be okay, other than property damage on the yard, and debris. But their home is still there. Unlike these guys, I it looks like there was something there at one point. I mean, look at that truck. It's just that truck's done. I'm wow.
I mean, we're talking about a good 4 or 5 feet of not just water, but it's stagnant water. You can tell just from this picture that water's not moving. It's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, and if you've never been to Louisiana, there's bugs, there's fucking poisonous snakes, there's gators. I mean, you don't want the swamp to invade the city.
Oh, and also, you see where that major building is in the center foreground, and if you go over just slightly, uh, that looks like that building. Well, there was a building there. It looks like the roof just got completely torn off.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is the Lake Charles area, but I'm not positive. From the air, the destruction of Hurricane Laura is especially stark. Photographs from the AP show entire neighborhoods surrounded by green-brown floodwater. It was a Category 4 when it hit, with 150 mile per hour winds that surpassed even Katrina, which hit Louisiana almost exactly 15 years ago. Laura pounded the Gulf Coast with wind and rain, unleashed a fearsome wall of seawater, and killed at least 4 people, sheared off roofs, and left whole neighborhoods in ruins. Most of the homes that remained intact still had missing shingles, shattered windows, and yards strewn with debris. Oh, oh no, you poor airplanes.
Ouch.
Right? They're old too. Oh man. That that
Ah,
that oh, that sucks.
well, uh, I guess it could be worse. They look like they might be repairable. I don't know about the white and red one, but at least the blue one looks like it might be okay.
Yeah, that white and red one looks like it was actually flying and it nosedived and somehow just like hovered and stopped. I mean, damn. $5 from Pinoid News. Thank you very much, Pinoid. Feel like it's risk. Okay, let's see. Feel like it's risk reward living by the ocean most times. It's great sometimes. You get flooded. It's the price you pay. Um, that is true because we have tsunami warning sites all over the working coast. So we just don't get hit by hurricanes over here. Down in the Gulf, they're known for their hurricanes.
I mean, still just look at how hard they got hit. Hey, don't get me wrong. If you guys like Florida, if you like Louisiana, you like the Gulf of Mexico, that's cool. But this is the risk you run. There's not a lot you can do to stop it. I hate to break it to you, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, but if you think you can stop Mother Nature, yeah, Mother Nature will take that bet.
Yeah, and that airplane hangar was right next to Lake Charles, just like I thought. Um, yeah, this is more of the same. Flooded, nasty water. Cameron, Louisiana. Oh man. Oh, there's someone's house just gone.
Ugh.
Yeah, this damage is harsh.
I mean, again, no matter how much you prepare, you live in a certain region. Guess what? This is how people feel when they live far up north and they get a heavy snowstorm and their roof caves in from the weight of the snow. It, if anyone out there thinks you can stop Mother Nature, by all means, tell me how. Be my guest. You're more than welcome to try. I'm just going to tell you right now, that's a fight you're not going to win.
Yeah, the destruction though, man, it's really bad. There,
Ooh,
yeah, that looked like what storage for just boats or what?
yeah, those are boats, and it looks like the water levels actually receded. I'm trying to. No, it looks like it should have been a shallow dock, but it looks like the water levels came up and then receded because you can see the way all the boats are angled. That's all water going back out to sea. Oh man. Well, there's a reason that I don't want to own a house that's close to the beach, especially not along the Gulf. I'm not paying for that insurance.
Yeah, and even my dad is was worried last time I talked to him, and he lives up in the central part of the state. It's not like he has beachfront property, but um, he was repairing his roof recently, and then got word about the storm, so his roof is already in the middle of being repaired. That's just bad luck. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, that's just shit timing. And and again, you look at this type of stuff, uh, you know what's gonna happen. You just have to give it enough time. But I wouldn't want to run my risk. I would rather not live that close to the ocean where you're gonna get hammered like that. But if you're talking about Louisiana or even Houston, where I used to live, it's a lot of it's still swampland. So yeah, you might not get hit with the wind. You might not get the sea surge. That might not happen. The rain could do just as much damage.
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry, but I was just down there. Those trees are not very big. You cannot tell me those root systems go very deep. I mean, man, I live in the middle of the Pacific Northwest. I know what a tree looks like. These things aren't trees.
I mean, hell, just looking at what you can see right here in this picture, I'm surprised some of those trees are even still standing.
Hey, memes, NMC, links in there, links also in Discord. If you guys want to jump on. Right now, we are talking about the hurricane. We'll move on to a few other topics.
On
But
Dodge, check out center top just to the left, the red house. Look at their motor port cover.
yeah, the wind just ripped it right up and off.
Well, and you can tell like it wasn't that something hit it. It's just it's gone. There's no rubble around it. It's just gone.
Some of the houses in this picture came out okay, like this blue and white one in the front, right? It looks brand new. I bet you that's probably why. I mean, some houses down there are really old and made before any laws were passed to make the houses up to code for hurricanes that hit quite regularly. Other houses that are brand new don't have any excuse, right?
I mean that white and blue structure at the bottom right looks fairly intact. So they got lucky. But the one right at the very, very bottom, if you can even call that thing a house anymore, them not so much.
Yeah, I would not want to own either the right hand side in the front or the left hand side in the front. Unless you had really good insurance.
Well, even if you had good insurance, they're gonna get their money one way or another. So I would just I'd rather move to the mountains. Just not have to worry about it.
Yeah, but we have volcanoes.
Yeah, I'll take my risk with the volcanoes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I forgot. Louisiana is home to a lot of oil refineries.
I don't see that going south at all, no pun intended.
Yeah, like actually, my dad gets money from one of the oil companies because they cross drill into his property from off his property. So he actually gets royalties from that.
Well, hopefully is actually I think scroll up a little bit. I think I know that bridge. I'm pretty sure I've actually driven past where this has been because I'm if I remember correctly, that bridge is going into Texas.
It says it's around the Lake Charles area. Was the little caption at the bottom right here. A chemical fire burns at a facility during the aftermath of Laura Thursday, the 27th, near Lake Charles, Louisiana. So
Yeah,
I'm guessing that goes over the lake.
but I'm pretty sure that area is getting close to the Louisiana Texas border because that looks very very familiar. And the reason I know that is because I have family in Texas, and the majority of them work in uh, petrochemical industry.
Yeah, I know Houston's about 3 hours from Shreveport. It's just right, like they're pretty close to each other, which is why if I would have just rented a car or had somebody pick me up in Houston, it would have saved me quite a bit of money.
Houston can be kind of a pain to get around in, just because it Houston's a strange city. It's it's very large and sprawling. It has a very good highway infrastructure, to be honest. Everything else about it, though, is kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh, you're going to hear the environmentalists freaking out because, you know, the oil industry totally caused that hurricane. That had to happen. That looks fairly superficial. I mean, you could probably fix that. That, not so much.
Yeah, that's a lot of water damage. That's a lot of water damage. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, you think those old vehicles were already broke down? If not, they are now.
And also, it's the fact that the water is just so stagnant. It, it's a good thing this happened at this point in time and not a little, not midsummer, because, ugh, oh, ouch. Well, hey, that one house there on the right corner, the shingles didn't hold up, but the roof did.
Could you imagine the mosquitoes, though?
I don't want to. That sounds
Oh, man.
terrifying. Like, just no.
Just horrible, horrible. And there's the tree falling. And yeah, shallow root structure. I was right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and you can see the wind just came through and just said, yeah, all of this? Nope.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that's the last picture because this is kind of depressing.
And that's a lot of devastation that we really just don't need at this point in time. Yeah, there's
Well, the state of Louisiana has to lighten up on quarantine at this point, right? I mean, how many displaced people do you have? You're going to have to set up camps, just like Katrina. So you're not going to be able to social distance. You have to have a gathering point for FEMA to deliver supplies to the people affected by this. And you have a second hurricane right behind Laura.
yeah, yeah, you have a point. I didn't even think about uh the CV implications of this. But oh boy. Uh
Well, I guess that's one good thing. I didn't think about that. I guess the high wind would blow them all away, right?
and actually, yeah, the hurricanes do tend to blow the mosquitoes away. They will come back a few days later, especially because with that much stagnant water, uh, eggs that are already there will start to hatch. What you do want to worry about, I don't know if this affects Louisiana as badly, but in Houston, what you have to worry about is the ant balls. Have you seen those?
Uh-uh.
Oh, all right. Well, I hope you're okay with nightmares. So when there's excessive flooding, ants, especially fire ants, have a particular way of surviving. They literally form a ball. Like they climb around each other and they form a ball and they climb over and over and over in circles so that the one on top doesn't drown, then he goes underneath the water, then the one on top doesn't drown, they go underneath the water and they form actual balls of ants just floating down the newly formed river. Ant balls. And look it up. It's an impressive survival mechanism. It's also terrifying because imagine what happens when one of these balls of ants hits something that is, well, not water. They they swarm it. It's creepy as shit. Also, another thing to avoid: if there's ever flooding and you notice trees that look like cotton balls, don't go anywhere near them.
Because spiders like to do something to get away from flooding. They climb trees. And they very rapidly build webs so that in case the wind blows them away, they can hang on to those webs. So you end up with trees with hundreds, if not thousands, of spiders just hanging on to webs in the trees. So there you go.
Hey man, keep going. I gotta do something real quick. The kids. I wasn't at the computer. Hello, you there? All right, looks like he died. The kids are gonna have to wait a second. All right, so yeah, when it comes to the hurricane and everything, man, they got more impact coming. There's also the fact that a second one's gonna blow through. I don't know. As memes had said earlier, they're gonna need some help down there. I did see memes' video on it, and yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Doku will be back in a minute. I was trying to do two things at once, and then some dead air crept in. So my bad, guys. The next topic I want to talk about is the major sports leagues. Okay, with the pandemic, you can't even fill up a stadium right now. At all. You can't fill up a stadium. Everything is going horrible. Your ratings have fallen through the basement. Everything is looking down. So what do you do, NBA? Let's cancel some playoff games. Yeah, that's smart. What do you do, MLB? You know, when you started your season late, you have cardboard cutouts in the stands and fake cheering over the loudspeaker. You also postponed games. NASCAR made a big deal about it. Hell, even hockey is canceling a couple of playoff games. Do the sports leagues want to die? Are they done? Are they calling it good?
Oh, apparently. I don't know why professional sports are continuing to try to push a political narrative when their job is to entertain and make money. This is not how you make money. What are you guys doing?
Well, not only that, but I understand the majority of NBA players are black. I get it. Same with most sports leagues. Other than hockey, I mean, most of your teams are Canadian anyway, right? Why do you even care? Anyway, what's it matter? I just don't understand why they would sacrifice the future of these people who, whether it's true or not, because my belief is it's not true. My belief the American dream is open to anybody. But a lot of people growing up in the quote unquote ghetto believe their only way out is either selling drugs, being a rapper, or playing ball. And what do you want to do? You want to take away sports pretty much. You want to kill it. And cardboard cutouts, straight sit mail in the stadiums. Watch a baseball game. I'm a Dodger fan. I watched the Dodger game. Dodgers versus Giants. I watched them play the Mariners. At all these games, it's all the same. Cardboard cutouts in the stands, so the pitcher has the people behind the batter's box, so the pitcher can still pitch. You know, they're not used to pitching in a real game with nobody fucking there. But Doku, what do you think? Are they trying, like, if they murder sports, aren't they taking away an avenue, one of the few that some people believe they have to get out of being poor?
I mean, yeah, that technically yes. It's you're not wrong. That is the avenue a lot of people view as kind of their only way out, especially if if you grow up in a culture where sports and music is kind of the thing, especially if you have a really crappy education system. And yeah, you're kind of doing a disservice to the people that you claim to care about, which again brings me back to the other point I was making. Your job as an entertainer. Yeah, this applies to sports, Hollywood, musicians, what have you. Your job is not political commentary. Your job is to be an entertainer. Why are you even getting involved in politics? That's just a stupid business decision. But hey, that's my opinion.
Yeah, sorry. I keep having to walk away, man. It's dinner time for the kids. I'm running in between the kitchen and here. So, yeah, I apologize again for dead air. But no, if you believe the only way out of being poor is football, and then suddenly the ratings drop in the NFL and nobody cares about football anymore, because guess what? I haven't watched a Niner game since fucking Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Okay? And I had been a Niners fan for over 20 years. I don't watch them anymore. They ruined it. I'm still a baseball fan. But they start pulling that horse shit, they'll ruin it too.
Oh, and that's the thing. Like with these already signed professional athletes who are at least at least worth hundreds of thousands, or at least making a few hundred thousand a year because they've signed their contracts. The ones that are really being the loudest, yeah, they're already worth millions. By taking this political stance because you want to send a message, you want to support disenfranchised people. You're not doing anyone any favors by doing what you're doing. I know this is a dead horse to beat, but you are sitting on a soapbox and you're sitting there and preaching to people about your values and this and that and what you should do and how other people should do and view things a certain way. You're not helping anyone at all. If anything, you're making things worse. So
Well, no,
why?
and let's look at it this way. Yeah, I'm gonna be a dick here. Okay, Black Lives Matter. All right, fine. You don't want to play the playoff game because of social injustice. These people are they are discriminately being detained and or shot just because of their social positioning and the color of their skin. So say you. Well, you're black. How did you become a millionaire in the same exact country? Probably raised in the same fucking neighborhood. Not only that, Mr. 20 million a year, how about you go down there and you start buying apartment complexes and letting them live there for free? How long until you start to get pissed when you hand them everything and they tear it up? Because it's handed to them. It doesn't matter. They don't care. And that isn't a race thing. That isn't a race thing. If you don't care to get off your ass and better your situation, then somebody handing you shit isn't going to make you fucking care.
No, you're right. It's going to make you more complacent, and it's going to just feed. It's going to feed the same type of culture entitlement mentality that everybody's so used to seeing. It's become commonplace. And to touch on that point, a lot of people might call me divisive because I see this type of shit, and I call it out. Okay, you can call me divisive. You can say I'm promoting hatred and division or this and that. Well, I hate to break it to you, but here's the harsh truth. If it weren't for this type of entitlement culture, the people who existed well before I started voicing my opinion and disdain for these types of individuals, it wouldn't go away. It wouldn't stop. It would just get worse. I'm not the one sitting here preaching hate and division. I'm just reacting to the fact that it exists, and I'm kind of fed up with it. So yeah, you can call me divisive all you want, but here's the fucking truth. I am not the problem. I might not be the solution. I'll give you that, but I sure as hell, sure as shit, mark my words, put your bottom dollar on it. I am not the problem. I might be the reaction. My reaction is the fact that I'm fed up with people who sit on their fucking soapbox high horse and pretend, well, this is bad and this is bad and this is bad and we need to do something about it, when not a single one of you overpaid fucking clowns do jack shit. But yet, I'm the divisive one. I'm the hateful one. I'm the one who's preaching this and that. I'm no better than them. No, you're wrong. Screw you. Your opinion is completely off base. If it weren't for the bullshit that these idiots keep preaching, I would not exist. I would go back to talking about anime or fucking go back to watching sports or building a fucking table or just going about my daily damn life, not giving a damn about your stupid social justice crap that, to be blunt, doesn't fucking exist in a country that provides you every opportunity to be fucking successful as long as you're willing to not be reliant on government and not use victimhood to try to fucking propagate your own entitlement bullshit narrative.
I would add a caveat there, though. Used to give you every opportunity. Because as of lately, they are destroying small business. They are destroying the fabric of America at this point, in my humble opinion.
No, and that actually is a fair point, because it used to be, you're right. I'll give you that one. I'll agree. It used to be, hey, you know what? You're willing to work hard. You're willing to go ahead and make something better for yourself. Okay. Now it doesn't matter. They'll sit there and say, "Oh, you're a victim. You're this. You're that." Are you? Are you really? Let's take a step back. Let's put all the ist and ism and the political narratives aside, whether it's left or right. Let's put all of that nonsense aside. You have a bunch of idiots running around saying, well, America was never great. Let's burn the flag. Death to America. It was built on colonialism and genocide and this and that. You live in a country where someone can become a millionaire running purely on the stance that America is racist and unfair and built on all of these things. But yet somehow you're worth millions of dollars.
Well, no, and that's a perfect segue, because I wanted to bitch about Wheeler. Wheeler has the audacity, after watching Portland continue to burn for 3 months now, maybe more, to remember suddenly, oh shit, I'm up for election in November. I forgot about that. Shucks, golly. I better go out and campaign. Yeah, he's out there fucking saying, look what I did. I kept the feds out of Portland for the most part. And I'm on your side. And I'm going to be kind of tough on crime, but the right crime. No, Wheeler. No, the gig is up. You showed your call me colors. And if the people of Portland elect you again, I want next year on the ballot to let Washington have Portland. Can we do that? Like, can we cede Portland to Washington?
Oh, and that is another thing to point out. Do you think any of these people that are pandering to you actually give a shit about you? Yeah, they'll sit there and say, "Oh, look at what I did. Look at everything I did for you. I kept the evil orange man out, and I kept the not Gestapo out. I kicked the feds out because they were defending federal property. But well, whatever. If feds defending federal property, yeah, it's not like that ever happens. It doesn't fall under jurisdiction. But no, the one thing you won't do is allow your police to do their job, defend the police. You have them resigning in record numbers. And by the way, this isn't just Portland or Seattle. It's happening everywhere where these morons have any degree of power. But what do? Aside from pandering to the people running around, actually burning down everything and trying to fucking murder police. And yes, I'm not being hyperbolic. Putting freaking quick dry concrete over door handles so they can light a police precinct on fire with people still inside. Intentionally, knowingly, because they want to kill them. Because, yeah, that's really going to solve the fucking problem. But yet, what have they done for you? Well, we care about the community, but we're not going to stop the people burning it down. Well, we care about police brutality, but we're going to allow people to riot in the streets and give the police a better reason to go ahead and increase their presence and arguably be more on edge. Probably going to lead to a scenario where it's more likely you're going to have a potentially violent, hopefully not, but much more likely fatal encounter with police because they're going to be on edge. When you start throwing rocks and concrete and Molotov cocktails and fireworks at people, they're probably going to respond with a little bit more force. I have a feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're throwing a rock at the cops, I have a feeling the cops are going to respond with a little bit more, lethal force. Because what's going to happen? Well, I can tell you this much. Being punched in the head is not the same as being hit in the head with a fucking rock. I'm pretty sure the cops aren't going to like it.
Well, I don't know exactly what happened with that whole situation. I saw the footage of the man reaching into the car to grab his knife that he had already been waving at the police. And supposedly, well, no, I believe it's actually over a hot mic. He yells at the cops, "I'm going to get a gun." So he's either he was going to get the non-existent gun because there was no gun found in the car, or he was going to jump in the car and run over a couple of cops with his kids in the back seat. This man was a convicted rapist, multiple domestic violence charges, and a known felon.
Well, here's the thing. Let's just cut through the bullshit and just cut to the chase. The guy was already there. He was trespassing. He stole some keys. The cops were called. The guy already had a warrant out for his arrest. He was already a convicted felon. And you can hear over the police broadcast that he was ignoring the police orders. They hit him with the taser. He took out the fucking probes, walked to the car. The Officers had their weapons drawn. He said he was going to the car. You could hear them say, drop the knife. He didn't. Goes to the car. He gets shot. Here's a fucking life tip for everyone. Don't threaten the police when they have their fucking weapons drawn if you don't want to get shot. It's really not that damn difficult.
Well, no, and it's not a racial issue. Okay. I had a house party. My mom went to the coast. We had a party. And yeah, this is anecdotal, but who cares? All right. My idiot friends, we were managing a motel. My idiot friends went outside on the balcony, which overlooked the Safeway across the street, a grocery store. They went out there with my BB guns. And they were fucking around. One friend had the other and had the gun up to him. I have a hostage. He thought it was hilarious. Well, 911 calls, and 3 minutes later, the police show up. I'm in my room playing video games, and all of a sudden I hear cops. I get up, I run to the side exit, not downstairs out the front door. I'm headed to the side to cut out through the motel side. I open the door, and there is an assault rifle in my face with a cop behind it. You move, I squeeze. I didn't move. I didn't put my hands up. I didn't piss myself because that would involve moving. I just froze.
Well, again, that's the thing. Like, you want to talk about Kenosha, you want to talk about any situation. Take your pick. If it involves police and they have a weapon drawn, well, you should probably do what they say, because if they have their weapon drawn, I don't know if anybody is listening in the chat who knows anybody who is a uniformed officer or has served in the military, or just, I don't know, knows general fucking gun etiquette. When a weapon is pointed at you, it's usually because the person intends to shoot. If you don't want to get shot, it's usually a good fucking idea to not give them a reason to pull the damn trigger. This should be basic common sense. Now, put someone in a uniform, give them a badge, and they have their weapon drawn. I hate to break it to all the BLM protesters, but they're police. They also are held to higher standards, whether you believe it or not. So when they pull a weapon, especially their service weapon, that is lethal, it's because they feel threatened, or they think you are threatening the life of another. It means they intend to shoot you, and they will shoot to kill because that's what they're trained to do. You want to know how to prevent yourself from getting shot? Comply. You can say, oh, well, all the obey the law and this and that. I don't care if you're saying, well, the police are in the wrong or this or that. We're talking about the situation as it's unfolding right now. The only thing they have to go off of is what they know, who the potential suspect is. If you want to challenge it in court, challenge it in court. Sue the police department. That's fine. But if you don't want to get your ass shot, do what the fucking cops say, because they have a damn gun pointed at you.
Well, that's what I did, and I'm still breathing. And hello, MC. Next story is about Putin. So good timing.
Hello. How's it going, everybody?
What's up, MC?
A lot better than how it's going down south. Man, that hurricane was depressing. Just looking at the pictures, I can imagine my brother, sister, and my dad down there.
Well, one of the things about the hurricane that was quite interesting is normally hurricanes, when they come ashore, all right, they go about 20 miles inland, all right, at most, and basically quickly dissolve into, at best, tropical depression, right? Not even a tropical storm.
Yeah, this only went from 5 to 2. It's going to slam into Coshada, which is central Louisiana, or it already did. At
Yeah,
level 2. That's crazy.
it went way inland with high levels of speed. It was a good 20 miles inland, and you still had an eye wall. All right, a defined eye wall. That is highly unusual. So it was traveling at a high rate of speed when it hit. As far as traveling that, obviously the wind speed was very high.
I do have a question, MC. You seem to know more about this than I do. The AP reported it as a Cat 4, but I believe Fox News reported it as a Cat 5. Why is there discrepancy there?
Because they're not really sure. It was right on the edge between a Cat 4 and a Cat 5. So they're not really sure. And to be honest, people will, try and sensationalize things. I think Fox was sensationalizing it a little bit. All right, but it was close. I mean, it was 150 mile an hour winds are close to Cat 5. So
yeah, and that was as far as I read, and then also memes. I did watch his video. Sustained winds at 150, gusts up to 200, right?
once again, without anybody measuring it, who knows? Normally that they're between 40 and 50 miles an hour higher for the gusts. Generally, the gusts are around 30 miles an hour higher, which means at a minimum, the gusts are running around 180. All right, probably close to 200. It'd be hard for it to be 200. One of the problems, though, with these kind of storms, when it hits inland, is they quickly spawn tornadoes. All right, so not only do you have, the hurricane itself, who knows how many tornadoes were localized, all right, in those areas. That's why you see areas where where like the one area that memes was showing from NBC News, where that house, or I don't know if it was a house or apartment building, whatever it was, where the whole thing, top of it has been ripped off. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you were in the chat when we were looking at the photos around Lake Charles, but there was some major destruction, and then a couple of houses that looked okay, like just fine. I mean, that's probably tornado damage. That's what that looked like.
It could be. It could. I mean, it's hard to know for sure. The problem with 150 mile an hour sustained winds is, yeah, it's moving inland, but it's blowing 150 miles an hour for 30 minutes on your home. Okay, 30 straight minutes at 150 miles an hour. That's. I mean, I don't think people can conceive of that. I don't think people understand what that means. It's one thing to have a gust of wind come through, or even a tornado come through, right? Now, tornadoes' wind speeds actually can be much higher, but the destruction those winds can do is amazing. But 150 miles an hour sustained, where it is just blowing, all right? There isn't anybody, you have memes of people sitting out, watching it, or in, previous hurricanes where they're standing there looking at the winds, like the guy with the flag where he's looking into the wind, standing there. You're not doing that at 150 miles an hour. Okay. You might get away with that at 80 or 90 miles an hour. You're not getting away with it at 150 miles an hour. That's just the way it is.
I don't ignore the chat, William. I just ignored you.
Why are you harassing poor William?
Oh, do you want? Okay.
It's not that I don't see him. It's not that I don't see him. I wasn't trying to encourage you. I was just asking. But
no.
Yeah, the hurricane was devastating. It was what I started off my stream this morning with. That it landed and that it was going to be pretty bad. It was still early in the morning. People really hadn't gotten anywhere to see the kind of devastation. The other problem is something I think that Doku mentioned, which is the water. All right, you can't get anywhere. All right, because it's all flooded. The thing about that, though, is what you're looking at is because, especially when you get a really well-defined eye wall, right, is that the air pressure is so much less than the area outside of it that it actually creates, all right, when it's over the ocean, a huge bubble. It's like a huge bubble that it's bringing with it, all right, as it goes on land, right, because of the water pressure, all right. The water is actually being pushed up 20 feet. Now, that's now think of the eye wall. The eye walls that they had defined was about, it looked to be about 10 miles in diameter, right? Maybe a little bit more, right? That means 10 miles, all right, around, you have a column of water 20 feet in the, being higher. That column of water is 20 feet higher than it normally is. It's 20 feet in the air. Do you realize the power it takes to do that much water? That's the amount, that's the volume of the water that it's bringing with it. Now, obviously, as it goes across land, that, the water is going to dissipate. And as the pressure drops and you're not trying to it can't pick up any more water in that pressure, it goes away. But in that localized area, that's still thousands of tons of seawater it has brought on shore in one fell swoop.
Well, also a lot of the areas that are going to get hit by that, and those areas are usually they don't drain well. So,
well, not here. Yeah, you're right. These are swamps, so they don't drain well.
I can only imagine how long is it going to take for all of that water to actually dissipate and everything to go back to normal. I'd imagine the stagnant water you're looking at is at least going to take 5 to 10 days minimum.
It'll take probably 2 to 3. I don't think it'll take 5, but still, there's going to be pools of water. There's going to be standing water in all sorts of areas. That's where the mosquitoes will start showing up and everything as well.
Yeah, I mean, on the West Coast, especially in the Willamette Valley, we have windstorms every couple years where it's about 100 mile per hour sustained, gusts of 120, 130, knocks over big ass trees, shit like that. But we don't really get the water damage with it. It's just a windstorm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and so I mean, hurricanes are nothing to sneeze at, even in a general sense. Right? Luckily, the only good thing about this storm, and this, I know this is going to sound crazy, the only good thing about this storm is it was in total diameter a lot smaller than many hurricanes are.
Yeah, but what about the second storm that's right behind her?
Well, there's Marco. That doesn't look like it's going to turn into anything. There's some possible depressions coming off of out from Africa. They're a ways away at this point. We'd have to wait and see how they come in.
Oh, so that 1-2 punch was Marco, and it's dissipating.
Well, Marco's down in the Gulf of Mexico. What they were talking about initially with the 1-2 punch was not actually Laura. There was actually, they thought, a different tropical storm that came ashore already, all right, was going to come in, all right, as a hurricane, and it didn't. And, well, I hate to say this, but for the most part, it basically helped fuel Laura. All right, it dissipated. It was dissipating long before it actually hit. It came on land kind of as a storm in the Texas area, more in the Texas area. All right, and
what was the K hurricane this year? Because they should have named it Karen.
I don't know.
Good Lord, Dodge, really? Really?
What? That was a good one.
And
the C hurricane could have been Hurricane COVID.
Actually, I I mean, Hurricane Karen was last year, or Tropical Storm Karen rather. So I don't think it was Karen this year.
Just blame China. It'll be fine.
So, no, but one thing I wanted to say about the rioting and everything else.
But okay, so MC, before we dive into this article, what do you know about the protests going on in Belarus?
I've been kind of following it. They basically are claiming, not without reason, all right, that the election was a fraud. All right, now what would cause people to think that the election was a fraud? It could be that the guy in charge, Lushenko, got 80% of the vote. that might be the reason. All right, when they got done with the counting, so they think that there was major voting fraud that happened. I mean, and the people, of course, are they are they're upset. But I mean, what do you expect? So it is what it is. And then the one of the main opposition guys suddenly fell ill and can't recover. All right, is in the hospital. He suddenly fell ill, and there's been accusations of poisoning, that he was poisoned. Initially, they weren't. His family and his group wanted to get him out of the country to real doctors because they don't trust the government doctors. All right, so they flew him to Germany, so he's in a coma in Germany right now.
Well, the protests look peaceful to me. I mean, they're even throwing up the peace symbol here.
Because the first ones weren't, and the first ones weren't. The first ones were pretty violent, and they got put down. They went out there, and a lot of the big protesters, all right, that were causing a lot of angst and a lot of the real vociferousness, for lack of a better term. As soon as somebody started throwing punches, as soon as somebody did something like that, they immediately said, "Okay, we're not going to play games." They brought out the shields, they brought out the batons, and they went to work. So
yeah, well, is Putin trying once again to expand Russian influence? I mean, he already has influence over Belarus, if I remember correctly. That's a former Eastern Bloc country, right?
Well, it's part of the former Soviet Union, right? Belarus, Ukraine, all those areas were part of the, we're all part of the Soviet Union at one point. Is he trying to expand the power over them? Try to recreate the Russian Empire?
It kind of seems like that's been his goal all along, or am I misreading the man?
I don't think you're misreading him, but then again, if you take a look at it from his perspective, they're looking at it from the point of view of this. If they can reconsolidate the Soviet Union to some degree back to where it was, then their borders, all right, actually shrink. All right. Right now, Russia has far more territory or territorial border lines, all right, than it's ever had in a long, long time. Okay, so if you when you're trying to protect a border, of course, the smaller the area that you have to protect, the better. Well, you got a much larger area that you have to protect right now. All right, that's number one. Belarus was part of Russia, all right, for all intents and purposes, all right, even before the Soviet Union. So, you have cultural ties, you've got all these other things. Can it exist on its own with the territory that it has, with the borders that it has? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, culturally, it's slightly different. It's not majorly different. all right, from my perspective. But culturally, it is different, right? It is unique. It is unique, but whether or not it's got defensible borders in order to maintain itself, to be honest, I don't really know.
They speak Russian though, right?
I believe so, yes. Right?
Well,
That's the primary language.
Usually a test of at least cultural influence, right?
Well, it's cultural. Like I said, these areas were under Russia, all right, prior to Russia becoming, the Bolshevik Revolution and becoming the Soviet Union. Belarus was under the Russian Empire, right?
Tsarist Russia. I got you.
Right. So, obviously, from that standpoint, they have ties. Okay. They in many ways they are closer to Russia than, for example, the Ukrainians, right? I mean, but
well, and I wouldn't want to take on the corruption and bribery that is the Ukrainian government anyway. If I was Putin,
well, Putin's got to deal with the corruption in his own government. I mean, if you really want to, I mean, you're acting like Putin's government isn't corrupt, right? It may be a little bit less, all right, because of some of the reforms, and he's put in his people. But to say that Russia is not corrupt, it might not be as corrupt in that the corruption may not has spread out as far, but Russia is far from a law-abiding nation. Let's be honest.
yeah, and since we're talking about foreign affairs here, I had hoped that Kim Jong-un was dead. It turns out he visited either yesterday or today, according to the Associated Press, a part of the country that was hit by a typhoon. And he is alive and well and not in a coma. So we need to stop listening to ex-North Korean officials who keep filling us with hot air. Am I right or wrong?
Okay. You're not wrong in that. You got to be careful how you're trying to treat this. But one of the things that they're pointing out is, and one of the things that they could be doing is they could be running a double blind. Okay, they could be trying to push a civil war in North Korea as well, between Kim Jong-un and his sister. Okay, there's a lot of things that could be happening that people don't know about because we were just not aware of, because it's just not open enough for us to know. Okay, we do know that Kim Jong-un right now, whether you can say that he's fine, I don't think he's fine. The reason I say that is he's not being seen enough. He's changed his scheduling, at least to the point where he's rarely seen. This is not normal for the man. Okay, so I think that he's still suffering from something. What that something is, don't know.
I would put out my hypothesis. And he's probably suffering from acute liver failure from alcoholism. Homeboy has over $1 million liquor bill every year. That's insane.
It could be that. It could be something as like cancer, where he's going through chemo treatments, and so every so often, you go through chemo. People go through chemo differently. Could be that it's affecting him for a couple weeks, all right, and then he goes out for a week, and he can be seen for a week, and then he goes back and gets the chemo treatment, and is basically, bedridden for 3 or 4 days, and then recovering for another couple of weeks before he can go out around.
Yeah, and you brought up his sister. I don't remember if it was the last Redeye we did or the one before that, but me and Doku talked about her, and she looks like a psychopath, dude.
Okay. You gotta let people do their own thing. Let's assume that Kim Jong-un dies for just for hypotheticals, right? Everyone's got this idea that they believe, and they said that they think that she is going to be even harsher and more severe. And there's reasons to believe that. There's reasons to believe.
I'm not so sure that she'll take power. We're talking about an Asian culture here where they don't necessarily respect women. Is the military arm of North Korea, the ones that actually run the damn country? And don't tell me they don't, because they do. They have ran the country since Un's dad died. I bet you. You think that spoiled little butterball is running shit? I don't. Do you think they're going to put up with a woman leader?
I think that they probably, in this case, probably would, because it's a dynasty. It's a dynastic issue. While we look at these things and we call him a dictator, in reality, he's really a king. All right.
Well, also, real quick, just to touch on what you said, Dodge. We're talking about Kim Jong-un's sister. We're not talking about a normal female. We're talking about a female who has grown up in a particular society that doesn't really look at females very highly, and yet somehow she's still scarier than the person who's currently running the country. And there are people within that country who would probably agree with that sentiment. Why do you think that is?
The resting bitch face?
It's the fact that she's fucking ruthless. But it's not the fact that she's openly ruthless in the same way that you would expect a dictator to be. She's more of a supervillain than anything else. To be blunt, it wouldn't surprise me if she was the one who tried to poison her brother just to take power. I could see her pulling something like that. I really could.
Without him having an heir, though, that becomes an issue. And remember, this is a dynasty. Kim Jong-un, if you take a look at Kim Jong-un himself, people were wondering how could he take over? He's not like his father. He's not even close to his grandfather, right? As far as his capabilities go, okay? But he was the next in line. This is a dynastic, all right, monarchy. Yeah, it may be along communist lines, but it's a dynastic monarchy. All right, without an heir that devolves to her.
Yeah, but MC, they killed Kim's brother, right? Or his uncle? Half brother. They already killed him. Doku was saying his theory is she had him killed. That way it's down to her. Because normally it would go through the male line, right?
Well, more of what I'm saying is I wouldn't put it past her to try to pull something like that.
Because she is that kind of person.
I think she was in a position where she could have ordered something like that. That's very possible. All right. Would she have ordered it against her brother's will or convinced her brother? She could right now. For all intents and purposes, we don't even know this. But for all intents and purposes, she could be the power behind the throne right now. All right. She could be the one telling her brother to do things and her brother basically listening to her advice and doing it. We don't know enough about the palace dynamics within that group.
Obviously, you don't know the answer to this, and I want that stated right away. But how hard would it be for the CIA to actually get a spy in North Korea? They get caught, right? I mean, even if you sent a South Korean. We just don't know enough to actually blend into that culture, right?
All right. The CIA does not send in spies the way a lot of people think we do. All right. The CIA acquires spies. All right. Understand that this is how these agencies work. What they do is they go out and they watch how people do things. They find a weakness to exploit in an individual, and they flip them. All right, to start working for them. Now, some of the people will do it for ideological reasons. Some of the people will do it for monetary reasons. It doesn't really matter. But they look for the person who's weak in that area, and they'll try to flip them. The problem with doing that in something like North Korea is the maintaining an organization, all right, to be able to do it. This is one of the reasons why you see consulates, right, and embassies constantly used as areas where spies come out of, because that gives people a place to sit up there and say, okay, we can monitor to see which people possibly can be exploited for whatever reason, whether it's via blackmail or ideological reasons or monetary reasons, to exploit those people. All right. If you have an embassy there, you have a central point where you can sit up there and watch to look for people to exploit. All right. The enemy does the same thing. Right. The KGB did the same thing. The Chinese Communist Party does the same thing. Right. They look for that. That's how they get the spies.
So theoretically, we would have to flip a Chinese national who does business in North Korea to start the chain, right?
Well, it would be very difficult, because flipping one of those guys to start giving you some insight is fine, but that's not going to give you enough to know who you can flip further on, or even access to that person further on, right? You'd have to have somebody who was a deep mole, all right, in those kind of things. And the reality is getting a deep mole is once again not something that's very easy to do. All right, so could you do it? Could a Korean flip and do something like that? Yeah, but in North Korea, all right, you got to remember that these are people that don't have access to the World Wide Web. Okay, they don't have access to the world. They don't know what the world is like. Okay, even most of those military people, all right, don't have they don't see any reason to listen to American broadcasts or find out what's going on in America, or even Chinese broadcasts and find out what's going on in China. Okay, the society itself is very insular, right? It's very much along the lines of what the Japanese were like, all right, during the Tokugawa shogunate. They knew that these areas were existing. The population had ideas that there were foreign nations, but did they know anything about them? Nope. Because they were kept out.
Well, that actually brings me something I wanted to ask you, MC. Just out of pure curiosity, when it comes to a country like North Korea, considering how they're not only their quote ruling class, but also the population at large is, how would they feel about someone like Kim Jong-un coming in and being, God supreme dictator, when that individual is someone who got their education abroad, is inviting people in to, play basketball and do things that would not really seem, well, North Korean, but rather foreign to them.
You got to understand, the people who know that that Dennis Rodman went to visit the dear leader are probably few and far between. All right.
No,
the average population probably doesn't even know that took place. Or if they knew that there was a person named Dennis Rodman who came to visit him, he was probably someone who came to deign to bring glory upon the glorious leader of them, and is bowing to him, right? And has come to be on hands and knees with cup in hand, all right, to greet the glorious leader. That's
so
how
do you think the political and military elite, let alone people like his sister, would actually view something like that? Do you think they would look at it as a threat, or do you think even they would be somewhat accepting of it? Or
for like his sister, all right. Once again, this is palace dynamics. I don't think his sister really sees it as any real threat, right? Because it doesn't really impact on her power base at all. The other generals, they would be worried. The other people would be worried only because they would be concerned with, is the dear leader, does he know what he's doing with these people, all right, or is he getting played by them? That would be their concern, all right, that another group gets close to him and plays him. But let's be honest, you haven't seen anything coming close to that, all right, with Dennis Rodman, all right. They would be more concerned with the overtures that Trump gave, because they'd be like, okay, the United States is a serious nation. This is someone that's coming to greet the leader. Yeah, we can play this as the United States coming hat in hand, but he could flip things if the dear leader changes this, and then it's going to be a matter of, where do I fit in the grand change that happens. Okay.
So what about the idea that Un got his education abroad and wasn't brought up in dynastic North Korea? And do you think they would even look at him as, being their leader, or would they look at him more as an outsider?
No, he's their leader because it's the dynasty. You got to remember the dynasty's there, right? He's the prince. He might have been trained outside to learn the wily ways of the West, all right, because our dear leader at the time, all right, told his son to go out there because he trusted his son to learn, and he has now come back to take the reins. He would not be considered an outsider.
So they're still loyal to him regardless.
Oh yeah, they're very loyal to him. Right, I was shocked because there was a lot of theories at the time when Kim Jong-il, his father, died. All right, people were wondering how long Kim Jong-un was going to survive. They were guessing that there wasn't going to be a lot of loyalty to him, and they were shocked to find out after a year just how much loyalty he had, and how quickly they fell immediately in love. There wasn't one of the things they were expecting was a series of attempts at defecting that high officials would try to defect a lot in extraordinary numbers. Now, that doesn't mean that hundreds, right? But they did expect, a few dozen to defect, and it didn't happen.
That's an interesting point. So then I guess I'll follow up with this. Do you think Kim Jong-un is more of a threat or an asset, especially considering what's going on in the South China Sea?
He's to be honest, he's a thorn. He's like an irritant. He is a boil. All right. He's a boil. I hate to say this, but he's a boil. All right. He's a boil on the pimple of China's ass, and to be honest, he's a boil on the United States and the rest of the world. He's a boil. Okay, he's an irritant. He's not in really a position to do anything on an international scale, on a broad basis. All right, he can cause problems in a localized area for everybody, but he's not a solution to anyone. That he offers them no solution. He offers. There's no solution that Kim Jong-un offers to China. None. There's no solution that Kim Jong-un offers to the United States. None. All right. North Korea is just like, it's there as an irritant that nobody wants, but nobody wants to let go of.
Well, if that's the case, then why don't we end the armistice and sign a peace treaty?
With who?
With North Korea. Be done with it. We're done. South Korea.
That doesn't change that doesn't change him.
How can they say the United States is evil if we finally say, you know what, we don't want to kill you?
I don't know. How do the Palestinians say that the United States is evil?
because we support Israel, but that's a whole different thing.
Right. Well, how is it that Antifa says that the United States is evil? How does Russia say that the United States is evil? No matter what you do, the
I don't
United
think
States is
Putin
going to be
actually
evil.
says that. I really don't. I don't think he believes the United States is evil.
Who? Putin?
Yeah.
I think you have a rosier view of Putin than I do.
Hey, George Bush looked into his eyes.
Okay, and this should be good.
He said it was fine. Everything's fine. It's all good.
Okay, I think George Bush was saying that he sees him as a leader for his nation. All right, not that he's a wild-eyed, bomb-throwing Marxist, communist like Stalin was. Right.
Hey,
Putin's designs. Putin's for all of the bluster and all the crap that people look at with Putin. Putin is truly a Russian, notice the word Russian patriot. Okay, he believes in the greater glory of Russia. Yes, he believes in the greater glory of Putin as well. All right, but his main concern is the well-being and health of the nation state with him as leader.
So would it be safe to say that Putin is not necessarily our enemy, but he's also not necessarily our ally? He's a nationalist. He's Russia first.
Well, it's hard to know how much of Russia first he is versus Putin first. But if it's Putin first, it's Russia second, and if it's Russia first, it's Putin second. Okay, so it's a close tie to know where he differentiates that, right? But he will make personal sacrifices, whether you like it or not. The man will intentionally make personal sacrifices, all right, for the sake of Russia as he sees it.
So would it be safe to say that Putin supports Russia as long as Russia supports Putin?
In a way, yeah. Well, no, yeah, yes. All right. It's like I said, it's hard to know where that dividing line actually is. People forget this. Putin did step aside. Okay, whether you like it or not, Putin at one point did step aside and attempt to let the system as they were developing it, all right, work. He just looked at it, waited a year, and said it's not working, and decided to re-seize power.
Okay, so how about this question then? Under Putin, is Russia an enemy?
I say no.
I think that they're an adversary. Okay.
So more of a rival, but not an enemy.
They're more of a rival, all right, but they're a disliked rival, right? They're not a friendly rival. Let me put it that way. They're an adversary. They're a rival. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're a hostile rival, but they lean that way. But they're definitely a rival.
Okay.
All right. So, in other news, Germany calls for end to East Mediterranean military drills. Germany's foreign minister on Thursday called for an end to military drills in the Eastern Mediterranean to diffuse tensions and create conditions for NATO allies Greece and Turkey to calm their fucking tits.
Oh, this is a question before we even jump into this. Since I already asked you about Russia, MC, is Turkey an ally?
No.
Are they a rival?
They're an irritant.
So they're North Korea?
In a way. They're an irritant that has. Let me put in one sense, yes, they're like North Korea. In another sense, however, they're an irritant that actually could expand. They're an irritant that could cause, all right, and could grow. Okay, North Korea can't grow. Let's be honest. North Korea is never going to sit up there and take over South Korea. It is never going to sit up there and take over China. It is going to stay where it's at. All right. It's a boil. It's not going anywhere.
Okay, then who?
Turkey could be a cancer.
That's a good photo. Like, props to that military photographer. I like that. I would have that as a picture on my wall. Like, that's badass.
Actually, yeah, that is a good photo. And MC, I have one more question for you then. Who is the bigger threat between the two? Turkey or North Korea?
Who's the more destabilizing threat? Turkey.
Okay. I would tend to agree, but I have to ask now. Why do you think Turkey is the bigger threat then?
Because North Korea is contained. Okay. From a military perspective, the military power, yes, theoretically, all right. North Korea could attack, but who are they going to attack? Well, they're going to attack South Korea. South Korea is far stronger, okay, and would be far more able to resist any kind of physical aggression by North Korea than any of the people around Turkey, with the exception of Russia. Any of the other nations that Turkey borders right now, Turkey could invade and very likely successfully invade.
All right, then if Turkey was going to invade, who do you think they would invade?
Well, the first thing I think they would do is they would probably try and take out Iraq. I think they would go in there and try and take out the Kurds in Iraq and wipe out what's left of the Kurds in Syria.
Hey, look, the Greeks have an air force. Who thunk it?
It's ironic you bring that up because I was going to imagine that Turkey would actually be looking at Greece more than they would at Syria.
If they start a war with Greece, it'll be over these water rights that they have.
And the islands. They actually split an island, and they are always fucking with
Cyprus has been an issue for a while.
And that's the one that's split in half, right?
The thing is that it comes down to projection. Okay. The reason that Turkey could easily take out Iraq in Syria is because they border Syria by land. They border Iraq by land. If they're going to try and attack Greece, they're going to have to use a multi-dimensional approach. They're going to have to use Navy. They're going to have to use air power and then some land power. Okay. The land power would be very difficult for them to do by itself.
It would be. I play that Conflict of Nations game every day. So in one of the games, I am Turkey, and I have Constantinople. Yeah, I said it. And the thing is, though, that's not even my capital. And I keep it garrisoned, but it's really hard to invade and attack Greece through Istanbul because it's hard to mobilize there. So if Turkey and Greece actually erupted over Cyprus, I think you would see Constantinople back in Western hands.
It's hard to say because a ground war throughout that entire area would be very difficult, and there's other players that could actually attempt to take advantage of the situation. Right?
Serbia and Romania.
Serbia, Romania, Russia. Okay. Anybody that believes that Russia wouldn't try to meddle in any kind of conflict that Turkey gets involved in, all right, whether it's a Turkish ally or a Turkish enemy, Russia is something you can't ignore.
Would a Turkish attack on Cyprus that would draw NATO in, right? You could see U.S. troops in, and I'll just be politically correct, in Istanbul.
No, I don't see that. I don't see the U.S. getting involved. We didn't get involved in the 1970s when they went to war. We're not going to get involved in it now.
Why can't Greece activate NATO? They're in NATO. They're running.
So is Turkey.
Yeah, but fuck Turkey at this point.
Well, as long as they remain a NATO ally, you can't just say screw them to Turkey.
Hey guys, you got this for a minute. I have to go tuck in my daughter.
You can't just ignore Turkey, right? I mean, you can't just ignore the fact that they're a NATO ally. They are a NATO ally, all right. So you can't just ignore them.
Well, so I'm not concerned about NATO or even the UN. How would the EU treat Turkey if they decided they wanted to go after, let's say, Iraq?
If Turkey invaded Iraq, really seriously invaded Iraq, or if they seriously invaded Syria, right? Europe would pontificate and do absolutely nothing else.
So the EU wouldn't step in. So then how? Then, all right. Then, scaling up. Then, if Turkey invades Iraq, how do you think? The UN and Iran would respond?
Iran wouldn't do anything initially because they wouldn't know what to think. Eventually, they would try to respond, but the reality is the Iranians are not in a position to actually respond in any kind of real serious military manner at this point. Okay, they could continue to do what they're doing now, trying to destabilize it, but the reality is that destabilization makes it easier for Turkey, not harder for Turkey. You got to remember, Turkey is an Islamic nation. All right, they have a lot of ties to they're a Sunni nation. All right, you would see Turkey could easily wipe out, all right, and take over Syria. The problem is that they don't have any. The Turks. The problem with the Turks is that they're Turks. They're not Arabs. They speak Turkish. They don't speak Arabic necessarily. All right. So the Arabs don't like the Turks. Right. So the Iraqis don't like the Turks. The Iranians, from their perspective, they would look at it as there's no difference between Turkey and Iraq. So there's really not a lot that they're going to be involved in, aside from the fact that they have a large, that Iraq has a large Shia population, which would be once again subservient to Turkey or a Sunni population, right? But that was what they had before.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Greece is going through a giant drug epidemic. In front of the Parthenon in Athens, they have needles strung out everywhere. I was just watching documentaries on this, man. It's ridiculous. It's insane. So the level of poverty in Greece right now is astronomical.
Oh, it's going to increase.
So a good war is overdue. I say the Western nations take back Constantinople, and we help Greece out a little bit.
Why? Why get involved?
I don't know. I don't like Istanbul as the name. Is that a good enough?
All right. The thing is if the United States, if they went to war with Greece, right, the question would be, what deal does the United States make with Russia? That's really what it comes down to. We would have just high-level discussions with the Russians to determine who does what. And when you talk about Istanbul or Constantinople, however you want to look at it, to be honest, the Russians don't want us there any more than they want the Turks there. So if we're willing to say, you know what, we'll let the Russians have it, that's a possibility. But it's not possible for us to sit there and move in forces to take it because Russia won't allow it. Russia
I
would
don't
rather
know.
have Turkey.
I think I would be almost not as mad as I was when I found out they turned it into a mosque if it became a Russian Orthodox church. It needs to be a cathedral again.
It was a cathedral under the Russian, under the Greek Orthodox to begin with. What difference would it make?
Then okay, well then fine, that works for me. We have there you go. You got that roadblock out of the way. We have a deal. We don't have to divide up Turkey. We give Israel the rest of Turkey.
Why give Israel anything? Nothing against
because it pissed the rest of them off.
I see no reason to give Israel anything, right? If they're not willing to take care of the Palestinians and drive them into the sea, I don't believe in giving Israel anything to begin with.
Oh, I thought you meant like give them bread and stuff. No?
Good Lord.
You said take care of them.
Yeah, I mean, the Palestinians, the Palestinians that keep causing problems, as far as I'm concerned, they need to be told by the rest of the Arab nations, okay, you do not control our foreign policy. And I think finally some of them are starting to get to the point where they're like, no, the Palestinians cannot be the ones determining our foreign policy because they are destabilizing and preventing us from moving forward. If that comes to pass, then there will eventually be peace in that region. But it can only happen when the other nations, okay, take a look at the Palestinians and say, we've had enough of you. And the Palestinians have worn out their welcomes in several areas. That's why there is a peace treaty between Jordan and Israel, and Egypt and Israel.
What type of Greek jet is that? Because that's all it says, a Greek jet. It doesn't.
That's an F-16.
It's a Falcon.
Yeah, that's an F-16.
That's what I was thinking. I just, I don't know.
What do you think the Greek Air Force, that there's Greek industry that's producing jets? Come on. They created the Greeks created a situation where people, their retirement age was 50. Okay? They were living high on the hog till the bills came due. And now they've got a problem.
Yeah, but the thing is, dude, tourism alone should keep Greece afloat. What are they doing? I mean, they really got to mess that up with all that history there.
Okay.
I like, before I saw that documentary, Greece was on my list of places to go before I die. Athens was. Not anymore. I don't want to get fucking mugged.
Okay. Let's talk for a moment. We talk about the Western world, and we talk about as if we don't have corruption. Greece is a corrupt nation. Has been, always has been, all right, in the modern age, it's been wildly corrupt. Italy is a corrupt nation. Has been for a long time wildly corrupt. All those little Balkan states like Macedonia, heavy nepotism, heavy corruption. Albania, heavy corruption. Okay, these are corrupt nations, right? So how did it get that way? It's called corruption. And when bills come due, all right, when you keep the populace happy by basically mass spending, all right, which is what Greece did, and all these supposed social programs where they let people retire at the age of 50 and had work weeks of 3-day work weeks. Well, then eventually it collapses in on itself when people say, wait a minute, you're not paying back these loans you've taken. Okay, they were so corrupt, what they started doing was taking pictures, okay, of the rich areas And areas that they had pools because they created a pool tax, a tax on pools, swimming pools. They would then go out there, okay, we've taken this picture. Did you pay your pool tax? Because people were refusing to pay their taxes because they were technically so high, but nobody was paying them.
Okay, I understand what you're saying here. And that corruption is the root of the poverty and the drug problem that is going through. And when I say drug problem, I don't mean drug problem like the United States. No, they are taking like the worst drugs, right? Like methamphetamine. They have a knockoff version of methamphetamine that is even worse for you. And they're just smoking it on the side of the road in front of the Parthenon. They're shooting up crocodile. Have you heard of this shit, MC? You miss the vein and your fucking skin pusses up and hardens like crocodile skin. The average lifespan of a user is 6 months to a year. And it's knockoff heroin made without any opiate, but it's made with like gasoline and shit. I mean, they have issues that we in the United States couldn't write in a movie.
Okay. And what do you want to do about it?
Well, they need to do something because the history alone and the historical factor there should be bringing in quite a bit of money. I mean, if you look at the GDP of Hawaii, for instance, that's mainly tourism, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the GDP of Hawaii probably more than the GDP of all of Greece, for God's sake?
Probably, possibly, but the problem is right now is they're having a problem. Let's take a look at that. You know,
well, that's
the old Google machine.
I mean, you're talking about the root of Western civilization, Greece, and we're just letting it fall apart.
What do you mean we're letting it fall apart?
Not America, the world. Okay, it's not our job. I agree.
Okay, the GDP of Hawaii is $73 billion. All right, 73.25 billion. All right, the GDP of Greece is 218 billion. So
all right,
quite, not quite. All right, the same. All right, now at their peak in 2008. They were 350 billion.
I mean, I believe Texas and California still have them beat, but
oh yeah, most. I would say that even New York probably has them beat. To be honest,
I don't know. I love history. You know that. It's kind of sad to see the root of Western civilization destroying itself, basically.
GDP of New York is what 1.5 trillion. Let's see what Oklahoma is. GDP for Oklahoma is 197 billion. So they're close to the GDP of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and have a good night, Dade. In case you're still there and I didn't miss it. Aunt Jack, what's up? And Mitch, how you doing? I haven't made it all the way through that yet, but I will before you guys want to discuss it. And you know what I mean when I'm talking about. So, I don't know. I don't want to see the root of Western civilization just destroy itself in a maelstrom of not even good drugs. You know what I mean? It's not like they're doing coke like Charlie Sheen. Like, these guys are doing crocodile and fucking knockoff speed. What's wrong with them?
Yeah. Arizona has a higher GDP than Greece does.
And what do you sell? Fucking Mexican hats and tacos? You know?
Well, first of all, we have a major tourism industry. All right, it's called the Grand Canyon.
I was just being a dick. Calm down.
Phoenix is a big area.
That reminds me, my MLB The Show 18, the video game, it opens up with a little kid going, yeah, or some people say baseball is just a game. Yeah. And the Grand Canyon is just a big hole in Arizona.
Well, Oregon has a higher GDP than.
Well, we got that weed money. Cha-ching!
I mean, even Washington State, I think, has more. Washington State has double what Oregon has, actually.
Yeah, a lot of that is I think GDP would also include the ferries and transportation direct to Alaska, right?
It's that. It's Boeing. It's the major military bases that Washington has. That's why it's so high.
Yeah. Oregon has a small but fairly good wine industry and a lot of microbreweries. We also have industrial hemp and recreational marijuana. And we have somewhat of a upcoming tech industry. It's not Silicon Valley, but I mean, do we really want Silicon Valley?
I mean,
we got about 10 minutes left. You going to be doing your show tomorrow, MC?
I will be doing my show in the morning. Yes.
Did you watch the RNC? I mean, we only got 10 minutes left. Let's round it out with politics here.
Okay, if you want to round it out with politics, then the major story of today was an attempt by the mainstream media, all right, to control the narrative. Specifically, Nancy Pelosi threw up the balloon that there wouldn't be a debate. All right, she doesn't think there should be a debate between Biden and Trump. Right, that Biden should just not debate Trump. That there's no reason to debate him. Okay, that lasted half the day before she ended up retracting it, her statement, because there's no way that Americans are going to tolerate that. Okay, that Biden continues to hide in his basement, and that sooner or later, the reality is it's beginning to affect things. All right, they sent Kamala Harris to try and do a response to Trump's speech. Okay, massive mistake on the part of the Democrats, and the reason for it is that she's the vice presidential candidate. All right. She is not the lead on the ticket. And to bring her up and say, okay, she's the one who's going to do the response is only going to further damage the Biden ticket. Okay, because she's not the president. People are, she's not the one running. She's not the one running for president. Okay.
Oh, but she is. She is.
But okay. If you think that they're going to just roll over and let her do that right now, that people are going to support that, not the hardcore loonies that it's anything but Trump, all right? But the average Democrat is already wavering, looking at that ticket. To be honest, and then what are they seeing from Biden? Nothing like today, nothing but gaffes, all right? Where he basically confused the guy who did the shooting, Rittner, with the guy who got shot, all right, Jacob Blake. Okay, he got them confused, all right, in an interview today. There's no way. What?
Yeah, no. If you're running for president and you have handlers and you make that simple mistake, I don't want you, and I hate to do it because every election cycle you get that. Who do you want? to answer the red phone at 3 a.m. Fucking commercial. But seriously, President Trump, now's the time to do that. Do you want Biden on the other end of that red phone when he confuses everything?
Yeah.
He might start a nuclear war, people.
It's the fact is that he's not well. All right. Now, and the Democrats, like I said, they had a chance to replace him on the ticket. Okay. I was surprised that they didn't replace him. I really am. But I think what it was is that they were thinking, because of the bubble that they lived in, that they can just push this keep Biden off the campaign trail to keep him away from gas, and everything will be fine. You're not going to do it. Okay? It's not going to happen. Okay? It can't happen that way. So he's going to have to come out. And when he comes out, everyone's going to see that he's not well. All right? It's going to affect their chances. And the best thing they could do right now, all right, is replace him before September. If they replace him before September, they have a chance. All right? If they convince him to stand down and say, okay, I'm just not healthy. I just, all of a sudden he announces, I just got a diagnosis. It's horrible. They tell me I've got, what was that? Oh, Alzheimer's. They tell me I've got Alzheimer's and I just can't do it. The Democrats are going to have to put somebody else on the ticket. All right. But if you wait till September, it'll be too late. You will not have time, all right, to convince the American people that who you select, all right, as your candidate is worthwhile. And you can't, if you let Biden go out and debate, he is going to get annihilated. All right, you can talk about the press's power and how they'll try to spin it. You cannot spin the gaffes that he's been making. You cannot spin that, and it's going to be front and center, and everybody's going to watch it. Okay, and if he doesn't come out, if he doesn't. And this idea that you can do it virtually, not going to fly with the American people. The American people are already fed up with this nonsense of saying, well, you got to stay home. No, the only people that are still buying that nonsense are people that are already suffering so much TDS, they'll do whatever they can to accept it. They won't accept it when it comes out later. Right, but they're not going to accept it, because the first comment that's going to be is like, well, how come all the other leftists have no problem coming out, all right, and rioting, all right? You're going to tell me that Biden can't? He could at least show up with one other person on the debate stage, but he can't. Let's be honest, he isn't well enough to do it. Everybody knows this, all right? Everybody in the press knows this, okay? So if you put him out there and say, this is our man, with everything else that's been happening with the Democrats, down ballot, they'll get crushed. Now, at this point in time, they have a chance, just because of the way the situation is. The Democrats have a chance, all right, of taking back the Senate. It's an outside chance. It's a difficult chance, but they have a chance because more Republicans are up for re-election than Democrats. Okay? But this nonsense that's been happening, especially this Kenosha crap, just made sure that, as much as I may dislike her, all right, Susan Collins is going to win in Maine. Okay? There is no way the people of Maine are looking at what's going on right now over there in Kenosha right now, and they're saying, no, we can trust the Democrats, because you can't.
Okay, well, you brought up that. I wasn't going to go near it, but okay. I did see that guy that shot was being harassed, and I believe he was hit with a skateboard before he actually shot. But he had no business having an AR-15. He was 17 years old.
Okay, so why is that a problem?
Isn't it illegal? You can't buy one.
You can't own one, but you can hunt with one. You can go out there and hunt when I believe it's 15.
What's he hunting? Black Lives Matter? That'll fly.
No. I understand what the intent is. The intent was for hunting, but the reality is that it's legal for him to carry a long rifle and a shotgun. It's not legal for him to carry a pistol, but it's legal for him to carry a long rifle and a shotgun.
The hunting argument doesn't hold water, man. Unless
it's the intent of the law. The law doesn't say hunting. The law says it's legal for a 15-year-old and up to carry, all right, the weapon.
That is true. That is true. And I have taken my kids shooting. You know, I believe they need to learn firearms while they're young. They're better off for it. You know what I mean? Like my aunt, her fiance has only lived in the LA area until they bought a house up here. And he is so gun shy. I told my aunt we own a gun and it's in a lock case. But she's like, yeah, don't tell so-and-so that because he just doesn't like guns. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, I don't know. He's never used one. I'm like, oh, well, we can take him out and teach him. No, he won't even touch a gun. He's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. So I teach, my kids when I got taught, But this guy came from out of state. He's 17 years old. And he's carrying a fucking AR-15 during a riot. Why aren't you at home?
Okay. All right. You're 17 years old. All right. There's no school. There hasn't been school for anywhere. All right. You're looking for something to do. Do you think that you're going to be, oh, that's okay, I'll just stay home?
Would you have traveled at 17 from out of state to an active riot armed at 17 years old? Would you have thought that was a good idea?
Yep. At 17, I would have thought that, wouldn't even thought twice about it, especially as far as he went. He only went 12 miles.
Yeah, that's the other thing you have to realize, Dodge, is he didn't live that far from Kenosha. I know it's over state boundaries, but it would have been 30 minutes start to finish from him to, toss everything in the car, drive over there, park, and just get out.
Wouldn't even been 30 minutes. Would have been 15, maybe 20.
I'm being very generous by saying 30 minutes.
Yeah. 15 to 20. You're talking rural now. You're not talking the big city where you're trying to drive through the city driving. You're talking rural, all right, and you're only 12 miles away. Straight road. And that's what it is, straight road. Boom.
Oh, that's 10 minutes.
Right.
Jump in the Camaro and just floor it.
Well, I'm assuming that he's doing 60 miles an hour, which is the speed limit.
That dude's armed. I guess he probably is doing the speed limit, actually. And
they used to come home. Okay, you talk about him being armed, all right? When I went to high school during deer season, this is not an exaggeration, all right? Kids would come to school after hunting where their hunting rifles, were in racks on the back of their pickups. All right?
Well, I'm not saying he didn't have a right to go shooting, but he wasn't going shooting. He was going to an active
he went there
riot.
and he said, I'm going to go here and I'm going to help out. And he was cleaning graffiti off of a building. All right. I have a feeling that he probably, or somebody near him probably knew who these people were that they were trying to protect and hold. All right. And he went there, and when they asked him, why are you carrying a gun? Because they were doing interviews with this kid beforehand. He said, well, I'm not stupid. I know there's rioting going on. I'm going to protect myself. And that's what he did.
Well, also keep in mind, and this is something not a lot of people are talking about, but you have to put it in perspective. he's not allowed to own or carry a pistol. So you pick the next best thing. It's either a long rifle or a shotgun. Well, guess what? He's walking around with a long rifle. He's not walking around with a Glock, as everybody's saying the one person was carrying. He's not walking around with a dirty, hairy 44 or 357 revolver. He's walking around with a weapon, a long rifle, in full display, and he's not using it in an aggressive manner.
No.
Not initially. Well, until the altercation began. But that he didn't go there as far as we know from what we've seen to start shit. Shit was already going down. Yeah, he recognized that. That's why he's carrying a weapon. He's not going there with a baseball bat with a bunch of spikes on it.
Okay, and Jack, I'm not scared of people open carrying. Oregon is open carry. I'm not worried about that. What I'm saying, though, is if that was my kid loading a gun up, saying he's going to a riot zone, I don't think I'm letting him drive out. I'm just saying. Okay? On the other hand, I'm the same guy whose wife went to Portland, and I made damn sure the pistol was with her. You know? So I'm not necessarily scared of defending yourself. He did knowingly go to an area where there was violence going on, and he is arrested. And in this political climate, he could lose the part of his life. There's
no way that right now what they're doing, they're so overcharging right now. It's not even a joke. Okay, and this is making it worse. This is what the Democrats don't understand. This is making it worse for themselves. Everybody has seen the videos. Everybody has seen what happened here. Okay, this is an obvious case of him protecting himself. You can argue about him why he was there. Well, then you could also make the case then why the hell were the rioters there?
I agree.
Okay,
you're acting like I'm on the other side. I'm on the Democrat.
No. I understand you're playing a bit of devil's advocate here. But the reality is that they have charged him with 2 counts of first-degree murder. They are so over the top with this; it's unbelievable. If they were trying to say, "Look, we're going to charge him with aggravated assault and negligent homicide," all right, people would be like, "Well, okay, we'll just have to wait and see how that goes." Charging him with murder 1, all it's doing is making it worse. You're actually going to start getting close to where people are going to go, okay, you want to see BLM? Watch what happens when WLM shows up and says, you better start releasing this guy because he was just defending himself. And if you take a look at the press, you look at, all you have to do is read the articles. This is a 17-year-old man. They're not calling him a kid. They said a 17-year-old man did this. Okay, it's amazing how they're trying to push this, and it's backfiring on them, and they don't even see it because they live in a bubble. All right, Sargon, all right, did a commentary on a guy named Vosh, all right, and he was talking to Destiny, right, and he was playing this, and Vosh can't get it through his head. What he's saying is that people shouldn't defend themselves. He cannot. He is just lost. All right. And when people are pointing out, look at what you're saying you're doing here. It doesn't exist this way. And yet they continue with it. It's never going to happen. It's not going to work out the way it is. The overcharging in Wisconsin, you can say that, well, he's from out of state if you want, all right? When it's only 12 miles away, people on the border don't look at it that way, all right? If you're 5 miles across the border, all right, and 5 miles inside of that other side, you're already thinking that they're your neighbors, all right, in the rural communities, okay? This isn't what you think it is. All right, the way it's being portrayed. And the result is they're trying to overcharge them. They know that they're overcharging. There's no way you're going to get any jury to convict this. And yet they're trying to do it to try and say, well, look, see, we're on your side, Mr. Rioters. The rioters don't care. Okay, this is the problem with these leftist politicians. They don't understand something. These rioters, they've unleashed them, but the reality is they're not in control of them. They never have been. Okay, this isn't about what people say it is. This isn't about agreeing with that police brutality is wrong. It has nothing to do with this. In Minnesota, they went back to looting when a guy the police were trying to arrest committed suicide. Okay, and they said, we're riding over that.
Yeah, it's getting insane. And
Because
yeah,
this is
clearly
these
they had to
people-
find bootlickers to arrest him, Aunt Jack. I'm just saying, the AP reported it 3 hours ago. It might have happened this morning, but he was arrested.
Well, he turned himself in, and then they arrested him when he turned himself in. You got to right now they're extradited him. He turned himself into the police in Illinois, where he lived.
Yeah. And you brought up WLM, as you called it, which hasn't materialized quite. But I am in some groups on Facebook, some pro Southern Monument groups and groups like that. They're not racist at all. They just love history. But they're getting really pissed about this shit. And you are kind of seeing rural America, like, take notice. I mean, what state did this happen in? Wisconsin? Isn't there more cows than people? I mean, what is going on here?
It is what it is, and it's going to, unfortunately, it's going to devolve into stupidity. It really is. There's nothing you, nothing Doku, nothing any of us are going to be able to do about this. All right? Because when you try to talk to people to explain to them, don't do this. Do not feed into this. This is not what they're telling you it is. They had a lot of people running around going, no, I'm going to protest with the people because I believe that police brutality is bad. In a situation where, and this is going to turn into Minnesota, right now, they were warned about the toxicology report on George Floyd. George Floyd had a lethal dose of fentanyl in his system.
And also cocaine, right? So he pretty much took a speedball. That will give you cardiac arrest.
All right. So at this point in time, all right, the initial overcharging of those police officers, all right, was stupid. Well, they're saying we're going to try and convict him for murder one. You're not convicting Chauvin of murder one. Negligent homicide, you may be able to prove. It would be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult to even prove that. All right.
Not necessarily. How do you find a clean jury at this point? I don't believe you can.
Well, but okay. So how are you going to go forward with it then? I mean, this is not going to be as easy as everybody thinks it is. This is not going to go the way I think a lot of people think it's going to go. All right, and it will lead to even more rioting later on. All because people don't want to. Let's be honest. Whether you like it or not, the Jacob Blake shooting was perfectly justified. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what color of the skin anybody is. If someone goes and does those things that he did, all right, he was going to get shot by the police, period. All right? It doesn't matter what the color was. It doesn't matter if it was a white guy. It doesn't matter if he was a purple guy. It doesn't matter if he was a red guy. It doesn't freaking matter.
Well, MC, remember, we were just discussing a white man being shot in Arizona.
Yeah.
And we also discussed about 2 years ago of another white man being shot in Arizona. Now, did you see riots after these incidences?
No.
You saw outrage. There was outrage, yeah.
And I think even the outrage is misplaced, all right, because people are emoting rather than thinking.
No, I still disagree with you on the first one for sure. The second one, he was at least holding a gun. Okay, I gotta grant you that. That dude had a gun in his hand.
It doesn't matter. It's a tragedy. I'm not saying that the police don't do anything wrong. That's not the point. That's not the point. Okay. There's no, but when you're in a situation, all right, at that point, to say that they did something criminal is something different. All right, and that's where the problem is there's people right now that are running around saying what happened to Jacob, all right, that's criminal. We want justice. Justice for what? What do you mean? What did they do? What did the cops do that was criminal in your mind? Well, they shot him in the back. He had he was going for a knife, and he was struggling with the police. What did you expect the cop to do?
And that's what I was saying before you jumped in, MC, is, the cops already have their weapons drawn. And not their tasers. The taser already failed. They have their service weapons, their sidearms, lethal weapons drawn. They're telling you, don't do this. And you tell the cops, I'm going to my car. We've already had the dispatch recording. Oh yeah, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. Well, guess what? They have a gun pointed at you. You don't drop the knife. Guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna get fucking shot. What the fuck do you expect?
I've said this to Ogre. I've said it to a lot of people. All right, when they talk about, well, I don't have to listen to the police. Yes, you do.
Well, to be fair, they have a point. You don't have to listen to the police, but don't complain about it when you get shot, when they have a gun pulled on you and they're telling you to do something and you don't do it. And, well, they have a gun pointed at you. Do you think they're not going to shoot you? And apparently people don't realize when a badged officer, especially a badged uniform officer, pulls their fucking firearm on you and points it at you, they have an intention to shoot. And yeah, you don't have to do what the cops say. You're right, you don't. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get shot.
What good's it gonna do you when you're laying there dead? I was in the right. Okay, you could be in the right, but you're dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. The cops. That's the thing. The cops could be in the wrong. You're right. They could be, but they're the ones with the badge, the uniform, and the gun. That gun is now pulled. And oh, by the way, yeah, they are still held to higher standards. You're not allowed to pull a weapon without, more severe repercussions than if you're just a random nobody citizen. If you're a militia member, the police are held to a higher standard. So when they have their gun drawn, it's not there for show. They're going to shoot you. You might want to do what they say, and otherwise they're going to shoot you. So I don't know where these individuals freaking out or thinking like, oh my God, how dare the police do this? Oh, it is terrible. It's a tragedy. Yeah, you know what? You're right. It is terrible that this happened. It is a tragedy. But you know what the tragedy is here? It's the fact that this idiot didn't do what the frickin' cop told him to do. What would you do? Hey guys, let me give you case in point. You just got pulled over. You told to get out of your car. You start acting a little wonky. Cop pulls his weapon on you. Not his taser, but his actual weapon. Bullets, ready to go. Says, hey, stop. Don't do that. Don't go to your car. Don't open the door. Don't reach into the car. Do you think he's not going to shoot you? How stupid do you have to be to not see why this guy got shot?
And
explain it to me.
And to use the excuse, well, the only reason it happened is because he's black. Bullshit. It has nothing to do because he's black. And the other problem that I have is it's not police brutality in that case. In this case here, it isn't an overreach of the police. Okay, this is not an overreach. You can complain all you want. It's not an overreach by the police. It's nothing criminal. The police did not do anything criminal. This guy ended up dead because there is a group of people who are pushing the point of view that they don't have to listen to authority.
Well,
right?
also
because they are black supremacists.
Well, also here's a question, MC. And white people get shot for doing the same stupid shit all the same time. So I don't want to hear it. Oh, it's because it's black. No, it's because he didn't do what the cops were telling him to do, and they actually did practice restraint. The fact that the guy even got to his car, opened the door, and was reaching into the vehicle shows they were practicing restraint. What I want to know is this. If you look at the actual footage of what happened when this guy got shot, explain to me how the police could actually see what the guy was even reaching for in the first place. For all they knew, he had a freaking Taurus, a raging bull with a 410 shotgun shell loaded in. They didn't know what the hell the guy was reaching for.
Okay, how about the cops have a protest? How about, I got a day for it. How about September 11th, 2020, every single police officer in the country just doesn't go to work. One day, just don't go to work. Don't announce it to anybody. Just, they should organize it. I mean, sooner or later, the cops are going to be tired of this anyway. Didn't the chief of police of Seattle resign because she's done with this bullshit?
Well, she resigned because she was told to resign. Right? That's reality. I don't care what she said she resigned for. I think she resigned because she was told to resign.
But every police department leave. I get why sheriffs couldn't do this. They get elected. I understand. But everybody else, just don't go to work. The police union will protect you.
It won't make any difference. Because these leftists want to bring the system down. That's their goal. All right? And until people come to the belief that people like AOC, right, that they don't believe in democracy, that they don't believe in America, right? People like Ilhan Omar, these are not people who believe in America, in the American experiment, in the American government. They believe in power. Okay? They think of the Constitution and the American institutions as an impediment to them gaining more. Okay. And until you understand that, you're never going to get rid of this. And that's why this whole thing. I'm tired of people like AJ Smith trying to say, well, I'm trying to find a middle ground. I'm trying to do this. And then turn right around and said, well, white America's got to do something. What can white America do?
Well, Aunt Jack and Mitch, you two sound like old men complaining about loud noise. And sometimes neighbors lie. Like, I don't know. I got a notice in the mail from the county saying that we were blaring music at midnight. You know what we were doing at midnight? Going to bed. We were in bed going to sleep. Our kids go to bed at 9. We do not blare music in the middle of the night. Our neighbors lied because our neighbors are dickheads. This happens. Is that a reason to get shot because you're playing video games a little too loud? Get bent. I mean,
it's not a reason to get shot, but that's not the reason you get shot, though, either. You're not going. The guy in Mesa, as much as it's a tragedy, what happened to him, but he didn't get shot because somebody was playing music. He got shot because of the circumstances that he walked in with a gun. All right, not saying he doesn't have the right to have a gun. All right, not saying that or anything like that. Okay, but the situation called for him, if he was going to remain safe, to understand the situation and put the gun down, all right, so that the police would not react the way they did. Okay, he wasn't thinking about it. It didn't occur to him. I understand that, but the reality is, all right, is it was a dangerous situation. You have to act responsibly with a firearm. You have got to start thinking, okay, no longer can it just be about me when you have a firearm. In fact, you shouldn't be picking up a firearm with just the intention of it's just me. No, you need to be looking at the situation and the people around you, all right, because you have to be anticipating how they're going to react. And you know what the police are going to do if you have a gun in your hand.
Yeah, I don't tend to answer my door with a gun in my hand. I mean, there was one time in my life where I had to pull a shotgun, but, you know, my roommate was a piece of shit, and there was somebody there from south of the border to collect the debt. So, you know, the gun was necessary. But other than that,
here's the other thing with the same logic that you see going around with these people trying to say, oh, this was terrible. This person is a murderer and the murderer, and what happened to this convicted felon who openly said he was going to go to his car to get a weapon and was told to drop the knife when officers already had their weapons drawn on him. By their same logic, then riddle me this. Why the hell was Richmond not a bloodbath? Because by that same logic that you're using, Richmond should have been a bloodbath. And what's the worst thing that happened in Richmond, Virginia? They cleaned up their own trash. Nothing happened.
Well, which time? I mean, Charlottesville happened.
No, I'm not talking about Charlottesville. I'm talking about Richmond. When
the militia marched.
Yeah, or nothing happened.
Same thing in Michigan, right?
Yeah,
in that regard, yeah, I agree with you. It's not a gun ownership issue. The problem is, though, is that this has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with the police in that regard. The problem is our society has got it in its head, all right, that somehow the police have a magical fairy wand, all right, and that they could act differently, and that if somehow they did something different, all right, things would be wonderful in the world, and we'd all sing Kumbaya, and we'd all be going la 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 la, as if somehow, okay, there was going to be some magical fairy dust sprinkled on people, all right, and things were going to change. And
MC, that real quick, MC, that's not my point. I'm not even talking about the police. I'm talking about the fact that if you have armed civilians exercising their right to carry a weapon for whatever reason, they're exercising their Second Amendment rights. Don't you think there's something a little bit different going on in Kenosha than there is in Richmond when people were walking around armed? Where is the difference? What is different about this situation versus what happened in Richmond?
Oh, one's a peaceful protest, the other one's a riot.
That's my point.
They tend to go on.
That is my point.
They intend to abuse people. They're there to intimidate people. Even this is something that irritates me that with people who cannot see it. All right, when you get together in a group and you're screaming vitriol, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they've been doing at all these supposed even peaceful protests where they just throw bottles and rocks that they claim is somehow still peaceful. All right, this isn't peaceful. They're trying to intimidate. The goal is to intimidate. The goal isn't to redress grievance because there's no grievance. Okay? There's no grievance. When the looting happened in Minneapolis, what did you have? Black Lives Matter coming out and saying, this is reparations. Last night, right, or yesterday when they were rioting because the guy committed suicide, all right, who was being arrested because he was a threat to everybody, and he committed suicide. So they decided to riot. All right. What did Black Lives Matter say? Reparations. This is reparations. Okay.
Well, MC, my point on this one, if there were people that were in Richmond, Virginia, who were there who wanted to actually start something, people would have gotten shot. You want to know why they didn't get shot? No one was there trying to act, quote, peacefully protest. No one was there trying to actually start a riot or start a situation where shooting is going to happen. You want to know why Kenosha was different? People were there actually trying to start something. And you know what happened? People got shot. Peaceful protest, my ass.
They weren't peaceful even the night before, where they were burning things down, where they were putting weapons in people's faces. Even just reporters, where a guy got guns pointed right into his face the night before. All right, from a guy, once again, from a quote unquote peaceful protester. All right, the guy pulls a freaking gun out of his pocket and points it at him. Right, and I was looking at it going, right there, dude. If you did that with me, I would have shot your ass. I would have brought up a weapon and blown your head off. As soon as you brought your weapon down, I'd have brought mine up and shot you. And I would have done it. And if it happened to be that you had your back turned, I wouldn't have bothered me. You were a threat to everybody. This guy's a threat. He is singling. He's going to shoot people with the threat of violence. And that's all this has ever been. And that includes these guys who come back and try and justify it, saying reparations. So you think that the threat of violence, all right, is going to back people down. You're not in the right country. And right now, CNN is panicking. When you have Don Lemon say, well, we're seeing this in the polls. We're seeing an upturn of Trump in the polls because of this. And now you're starting to see the pivot where good old freaking Biden today came out and said, well, there's no excuse for rioting and looting. Really? That's awful funny, because you've had how long to come out with a statement on that? And now when somebody's showing, hey, this is bad, because Kenosha was the turning point. What happened in Kenosha is absolutely uncalled for. It's absolutely a disgrace, and it is fueled by people like the fraud James, all right, and the rest of his ilk. It's fueled by people like A.J. Smith, who don't want to face the racism, all right, within their own communities. They don't want to come back, and people who are afraid of looking at them and saying, look, this was justified. No, there's too many people in America, too many little liberals that want to come back and cry, and then are going to try and do the crying about, oh, it's a tragedy because this happened. Oh, people are dead. OMC, people have died. People have been killed. Rather than go look at the guy going, okay, the reason this guy was killed was because, or the reason this guy got shot was because of how he was acting. When do you sit up there and start saying, yeah, personal accountability is something that we have to look at? Do you have anybody even use that word, all right, in the press? Did you hear anybody in on any one of these mainstream media stations say there has to be more personal accountability, all right, stressed, all right, amongst the people of the nation? And I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're white. You have got to start thinking about personal accountability yourself. And to excuse this behavior on a constant basis is why we're in this situation. And my rant is over.
And
Yeah,
you're
no,
not wrong.
And on that note, actually, because I wanted to go about 2 hours. We're at 2.5. It's coming up to the top of the hour. Perfect time to end. Any last thoughts, guys?
MC, if you have last thoughts, go ahead. And if not, then
I will do my stream in the morning at 6 a.m. On Pacific time, and we'll go from there. I'll have lots more to talk about because there's lots to do.
Yeah, and just make sure you turn that dial down a little bit. I know I keep promising the Lower Decks review. I have watched every episode. I will be coming out with it. If I have to record it by myself, I'll do that. But I'm hoping Doku gets over himself here and actually watches it.
Yeah. I'll watch the last couple of episodes. I'll give my critique, and just as a preemptive, yeah, here you go. I don't hate the show for the same reasons that other people who critique it hate it. I just think it's juvenile. I just personally don't like the show, but I'll give it a fair shake. So,
Did you like Rick and Morty?
No, I think that show is retarded as well.
Then you're probably gonna have problems with this show.
Getting through the second episode, I thought it was stupid. I thought it was juvenile. But if you're into that type of humor, it has its moments. The same way that Family Guy, Rick and Morty, American Dad, they all have their moments, but I still think they're stupid. That's just my personal preference. Don't take it personally. But that said, here's your public service announcement, ladies and gentlemen. When someone has a weapon pointed at you, especially if you go through, like, be honest about this one. Go through and don't listen to what the idiots are saying because they want to use it as, no pun intended, political ammunition. If someone has a weapon pointed at you and it doesn't seem like they actually want to end your life, go ahead and don't give them a reason to. This should be basic common sense. Please stop doing this, and for the love of God, for the ever-living love of God, I can't stress this enough. The reason this is happening is because, for one simple reason. Stop going around and burning down buildings and rioting and destroying communities. And the reason these people even showed up wasn't because they're defending a federal courthouse or a police precinct. They're doing it to defend businesses. That's what they're doing. They're not defending police precincts. They're not defending the federal courthouse or the public courthouse or is that. They're doing it to defend someone's public fucking business. They flat out said it. They said the police are overwhelmed. They're not allowed to do anything because the mayors and governors are not allowed to do anything because they're trying to use it as political ammunition. Stop allowing this to happen. Stop blaming, people who are sitting there saying we've had enough. You're allowing this to happen. People like you who are going out and defending these people who are rioting, they're not the ones who are sitting there going, we're going to go out and peacefully protest. There is nothing peaceful about this at this point in time, and people are fucking fed up with it. That's the reason people are now getting shot in the streets. What the fuck do you not realize about it at this point in time? You have to be a vapid idiot to not realize why this is happening. And if you are that type of person who can't understand why people are getting shot, then you know what? Maybe the people out there saying silence is violence actually have a point because you're allowing this shit to happen. Maybe you should start looking at these mayors and governors who won't allow the fucking police to do their jobs while they sit there at the same time and lick their fucking fingers saying, "Oh, well, we'll defund the police. It's fine. It'll work out better for us because, it'll help us win re-election." Do you think they fucking care about you, you idiots? People are dying because of people like you. And it's fucking disgusting. You want to know who has blood on their hands? It's not the fucking Don. It's not the fucking people saying we're defending businesses. It's because of people like you. Like idiots who sit there and fucking say, well, there's only 10 who went out and committed arson, but there's 1,000 people out there who are peacefully protesting. Well, let me ask you this. What did those 990 people do when 10 went off to go fucking start a riot, to go fucking commit arson, to go fucking shoot people, to go intimidate people who have guns, who were there to defend a fucking private business? But you guys did nothing. Oh, you're the reason they're there, you idiots. You're the reason people are dying. The fact that you can even sit there and fucking pretend that you have the fucking virtue signaling soapbox high ground is fucking abhorrent. Turn around and look in the fucking mirror. You're the reason people are dying. You are disgusting. You should be fucking disgusted with yourselves. Thank you. Fuck you. Suck my dick. Good fucking night.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. And Mad Dodge Productions, as a brand, does not condone places like SeaWorld, where they harbor these rapist dolphins and evil Nazi penguins. Please do not give your money to places like SeaWorld or the local Nazi penguin headquarters like the Portland Zoo. It is horrible what these penguins propagate. Thank you. Good night and good luck.
Meep, meep.